Hello, and welcome to another podcast episode on Paving the Way. I'm Seth Amoa, aka SA. I'm here with Kenny Jean-Louis, aka KJL. And today we're here with someone very special, a very known baller in Quebec, in Montreal, and in Canada, you know. And also she's right now playing pro, and she's one of the top female athletes, of the century, I may add. Miss Alex Kiss-Rusk.
Merci d'avoir accepté l'invitation. On t'a envoyé un message, puis directement t'as dit oui, puis t'aimais qu'est-ce qu'on faisait. So, merci encore. Moi, I didn't know about you, but I knew about Miriam Sila, and I guess you guys were playing together, so I was watching a couple of games. And then when she left, I was like, damn, like who's gonna, I guess, replace her? And then people were saying, oh, there's a girl named Alex. She's gonna be good. She's gonna be a beast. And I was like, you know what? I don't think she's gonna be better than Sila. I don't think she's gonna have a big impact. And then at the end, the next couple of years, I was watching, and then you did great, and you guys won the championship. We're gonna talk about that. So, anyways, thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for thinking of me and having me here.
I appreciate it. So first thing I'm going to ask is, because I know you're from Beaconsfield, Quebec.
Yep.
And I don't know too many ballers from there, So I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know how or why or when you start playing basketball.
Well, both of my parents played basketball. They both played at McGill, actually. So they had that background, and growing up we kind of played all the sports, like absolutely everything, including basketball. But I actually only really started really focusing on basketball in like grade 10, 11. So it wasn't my main focus for a long time. I was more of a hockey player to start out with. And that's what, like, all my brothers are hockey players, and we're kind of like a hockey family. But then when I kind of chose later on to go for basketball, my parents were super excited about it. And so that way I kind of went that way.
And why did you decide to go from hockey to basketball? Is this because, I guess, you were too tall to play hockey? Like, what was the reason?
No, not exactly. I went to Sport Études for hockey since 5th grade. So 5th grade, I would go to school until like noon, and then I would play hockey. And then I was playing hockey for the boys team, the girls team. And I did that grade 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I was in Sport Études. And I just felt like by the time I was in grade 9, it was a lot. It was a lot and basketball was just kind of something I did like once a week with my friends, once or twice a week. And it was like the fun thing to do, it was like a break from hockey. And so it always had, my passion was kind of always there for it. But growing up, I was just much better at hockey because I'd been skating since I was 3, and people just really didn't see a future for me in basketball, including my family, including myself. But I think once I got into grade 10, it became kind of clear that I couldn't play hockey with the boys anymore, which I had done my whole life. And I had to switch over and start playing with the girls. And it was a bit difficult for me just because they had all grown up playing together, and I was kind of really out of the scene in that sense. And so I think it was partly I was just getting a little bit tired of hockey, and partly that switch that I didn't really particularly enjoy. And I still found that my passion was really with basketball. So when I had to make the decision, I chose basketball, which was kind of a shock to everybody, but it worked out. So I'm glad I did.
What position did you play in hockey?
Defenseman.
Oh, defenseman.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes like? Do you regret sometimes not being able to play hockey, like, or making that decision?
I don't think I would say I regret it in any way, but every now and then I'll see, girls that I played with or people that were on my team and stuff and where they are now. And kind of wonder, well, what would have happened if I would have stuck with hockey? But I definitely don't regret picking basketball.
Okay.
And we're about a lot of players who play like a bunch of sports like when they're young. How would you say hockey help you with basketball? Or maybe it didn't help and is two different, I guess, thing. I don't know.
No. I think one of the better things in my game is my IQ and my ability to read the game, and I think that with how fast hockey is and how quick it is, I think I developed a lot of those sort of hand-eye coordination skills and IQ skills in that sense that have kind of helped me carry over.
Okay.
But yeah.
Did you, I guess when you were in high school, you said you made the decision in grade 10?
Yeah, so when I was after grade 9, I actually went to the United States to go to boarding school, to a prep school in Andover, Massachusetts, near Boston. And the way it worked there is that you couldn't play, there were kind of 3 seasons, and the sports were separated into the seasons, and the winter season, both hockey and basketball were that season. So it was impossible for you to play both, or you couldn't, you couldn't do it. So that was when I kind of was faced with like the real decision to pick one. And even then in the 10th grade, I chose basketball, which was kind of a shock, like I said, to everyone. And so my parents really encouraged me, like, just do one more year of hockey, and if you still really don't want to do it, then that's fine. You can start playing basketball, because I think when you get around grade 10, that's when college starts coming into play. And then here I was just like totally switching my sport. So I think everybody started kind of panicking about that. But so I did do one more year of hockey. I was playing club in Boston. So for the school, I was doing basketball, but I played club for that year. And then 11th grade was the first year I was 100% basketball.
So
were you good right away, or at first it was kind of hard?
Yeah, because transitioning that's because you're a late bloomer, in basketball. So like, how was that transition? Yeah, like.
Well, it wasn't completely brand new to me.
Yeah.
I had been playing at, like, I played on Wilba in the West Island here, and I played. Once I was just the year of 9th grade, I kind of convinced my parents that like once a week I could do the Spallitzid with the basketball players. So on like Wednesdays, I would go with the basketball players instead of the hockey, like every day.
Okay.
So, I definitely was playing as I went. And I think with my height, I still had such an advantage that it wasn't, especially at the level I was playing at, which was kind of New England prep school level, which is not necessarily the highest level of basketball there is. I think it was those couple years I took like a big leap forward.
Okay. At what moment did you know, like, oh, you could actually go play like at a higher level after this? And you're like, you're actually going to dedicate, I guess, your whole career to it.
Are you meaning for it to go from high school to university?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was sort of the disconnect, is that I kind of was of the opinion that whichever sport I chose, I was going to go to university and play that sport, and that's how it was going to go. And I think when I chose basketball, that's when everyone was like, oh, I don't know if she's going to be able to like get, a Division I scholarship, because that was for sure the route for hockey. I would, I was going towards a Division I scholarship, and that's what I was going to do. And then I said, yeah, I'm going to do it for basketball. And in my head, I thought, well, it was just like, that's still what I'm going to do, And so I don't think the doubt was really there for me. I think a lot of other people were kind of like, are you sure about that? But, it worked out. I think once, like I said, my height was a huge advantage for me, and I was kind of taken as a project for a lot of people at that time. So
okay, and we did our research, and you went to Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah.
Why you decide to go to that school? I'm sure probably like a bunch of school was recruiting you, in Canada and in the States.
Yeah, I think it was a mix of a lot of reasons. It was in the ACC, which was, super attractive for me at the time. In 2012, it was, one of the best leagues in Division I, and although that wasn't a very good team in the league, it was still, the competition was really attractive for me. And I think some of the other offers that I got weren't in as good of a leagues. There were better teams, but the leagues weren't as respected. So I think that was sort of my main reason. I think I also, when I attended the school and I did my official visit, I just got a really good vibe from the school, and I thought that I could, really enjoy my time there. And so it was just sort of a mix of a lot of different things, and ultimately that was the decision that I made.
Was there a big was it challenging going from, I guess, playing in grade 11 and then grade 11 and then I guess going to university next, the different competition?
Yeah, so the prep school goes to grade 12, but even so,
12,
from 12 to university was a massive jump, just in terms of how much work I was doing. I don't think I had I think I had gotten by for a really long time just with being naturally kind of fit and really tall, obviously. And then that big jump, kind of realizing how weak I am, how much I was not actually working. So that first summer before my first year, because we had to go, I graduated and a month later I was there. So yeah, that was a bit of a shocker, but I was ready for it and I was excited for it. I wasn't, I was mentally ready for it because they had told me what it was going to be like. But I think once I got there, I was like, oh, okay, this is real. But like I said, I was ready to work, and I really wanted to see where I could go with basketball. So I welcomed the challenge for sure.
And what was your mindset like when you, I guess, went there? Like, just basically your mindset when you went there? Were you thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go there, and probably it would be hard at the beginning, or your mindset was like, you know what, I always played well, I'm gonna get there and then play well? So what was your kind of mindset?
I think a big reason I went there in the first place was because of the whole idea that my whole life I was supposed to go and play D1 NCAA, and that was kind of my tunnel vision, and I think when I got there, I don't know if it was necessarily the best decision school-wise for me, but I did make it with the idea that this is a good school and it's in a great league, and I wanted to see how I measured up against that kind of competition and stuff. But yeah, I think my mindset going in wasn't, at the time, I didn't really see myself playing professionally later on. It wasn't that I didn't really look that far. And so I think going there, I was mostly just, because that wasn't necessarily my goal to play after university, the amount of time and sacrifice I was putting into basketball seemed a little bit unreasonable for me. Because I was like, well, do I really is this really what I want to do? And a mix of other environmental factors for sure that were playing into it. But I think I just, I had been away from home now. This was my 4th year away from home. I'd been away since I was 15, and I think that was really weighing on me too, my mental. So I think it wasn't the best year for me. I don't think I got out of it what I probably could have. So I don't think my mental was in the right space for me to really take out of that experience what I could have.
Okay. So when you were, I guess, after that year, when I guess you were thinking of transferring, did you think, did you know already that you were going to go to McGill? Because since your parents both went there, or were you looking at other places?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing about halfway through my first year was I need to come home.
Okay.
I think that was my main focus, and then after that it was like, okay, well, if you're so set on coming home, like, do you still want to play basketball? Do you still want to this and that? And I knew I wanted to go to school. I still wanted to go to school. And in my eyes, McGill was the best school. And so I said, okay, well, let's see if I can get into McGill, then I'll play basketball there. And I knew that there was, at the time, there was still a red shirt rule. So if you transferred, you had to sit out for a year. So I figured I'll transfer, I'll sit out the year, see how it goes, and then either continue with basketball or not at that point.
Okay.
So, but it was the only school that I applied to. I didn't really have a plan.
Okay.
I didn't really have a plan outside of going to McGill. So if it wouldn't have worked out, it would have been a tough year for sure.
Okay. Puis dernière question à propos de NCAA. Were you scared, like, when you made that decision? Like, because I know personally a lot of people who go to the States, and that's the dream. They really want to go to the States, and then stuff doesn't work out, but they feel like, oh, if I come back or if I change school, people are gonna look at me a different way. So you know what? I'm just gonna stay, but they're not happy. So what's the point of maybe going to a different school and not being happy? Go back and do what you really want to do. So, but were you scared, or in your mind you were like, my happiness is like number one? I don't know.
No, I think I definitely struggled with that, because especially I think it was even amplified because a few years earlier I had made the decision to not play hockey anymore, and that was kind of a shock already to everyone. And now I'm going to go and say, oh, I'm also not going to play in the NCAA as well, so I felt like it was like another big dagger to all the expectations that people had for me. But I kind of sat with my parents and I was like, look, this is my situation. This is everything that's going on with me right now. I think I need to come home. And they were 100% behind me on it. And once I had that, I was like, all right, it doesn't really matter. Once I had my like immediate support system around me, I was like, it didn't matter anymore what other people. I think that was the fear, was that my parents and my family and my close friends would think poorly of me for making that decision. And once that was made clear that wasn't going to be the case, I was like, well, this is what I'm doing. I have my people behind me, and if other people don't like it, that's none of my business.
Okay. Did you I want to know, did you have any other schools in mind in case if you didn't go to McGill?
Well, no.
No?
I really didn't. I think, I had spoke to the sort of academic advisor for athletics at McGill, and she had kind of I'd done very well in school at Virginia Tech my first year, and so I think she was very confident that it was going to be like a go. And so I knew that when I applied that it was like, okay, this is like 90% sure going to happen. So I didn't kind of see the need really to like apply somewhere else. But in that 10% chance that it didn't happen, I really didn't have a plan.
Okay. So when you were thinking about transferring, did other schools try to reach out to you? Did they know or did they not know? Or like, did you make
Yeah, I don't think anybody really knew, because I kind of made the decision before the season was over with my family, but I didn't want to make that known to my teammates or to the coach before the season was done. So yeah, so I waited until our season was over to announce it to my coach. And by then I had already kind of been talking to McGill and sort of like talked to the academic advisor and knew that was going to be an option for me. So yeah, I just, like I said, my main priority at the time was coming home. So.
Yeah.
And how was your redshirt year, like when you went to McGill?
I think it was exactly what I needed, in terms of, not having any pressure on me whatsoever. Being able to really focus on just enjoying basketball, enjoying the people I was with. It was such a good group of girls, and the the environment that I was around, and the coach and everything. It was just, I knew right away, like I wasn't even playing, and I was like, this is where I want to be. Like, this is it. This is the best decision I ever made. And so I was really happy about that. And I think halfway through, I was just itching to play, because this was a school I wanted to play for. This was a coach I wanted to play for. And these were teammates that I wanted to play with. So yeah, it wasn't as sort of hard. I think had I been able to play right away, I don't know that the same outcome would have happened for me, enjoying my 5 years the way that I did. I think I really needed that break and that pressure release for the year. So I'm glad the rule hadn't changed at the time. Yeah.
I completely, I respect that a lot. A lot of players, I think the one thing is that they're scared to transfer because they don't want to sit out a year. They think it's a waste, when for real it's not. It's just it's a blessing in disguise in a way. Like I transferred, and that year I sat out really helped me in many ways. So I feel like it's a really, really, really good thing for players to not just focus on just basketball, but also for what they actually want to do.
100%. I think I've never really been the kind of person that has like a set plan for my life. By this age, I need to be doing this, and I need to be graduated by this age so that I can work until, I'm not like that. Some people are, and that's usually plays into that decision too, of sitting out and extending a year on your career on the other side. But for me, it wasn't, a big concern of mine. I had all the time in the world. So I was like, I'm at least going to find the place that I enjoy being,
And can you tell me, like, I was competing with Mariam Sila, like during
my nemesis. No, she was an amazing teammate. She, definitely probably forced me to take the biggest leap forward that I did. I mean, the year after my fourth year was my best year at McGill by far. And I think a lot of that had to do with, she was kind of everything that I was missing as a player, in her tenacity and her physicality and her aggressiveness, were a lot of aspects of my game that were lacking. And she is definitely someone that goes at you in practice like you're on the other team. So like playing against a player like that every day, it really forced me to like raise my level of competitiveness. I mean, I'm a super competitive person, but more, the way I was playing and the physicality of it. And, she would go 100% every individual, every practice. And it really forced me to elevate my game, by playing with her all the time. But believe me, when the game started, I was very glad she was on my team and not the other team.
Oh man.
100%.
I want to know. Oh, can I go?
And how was your relationship with Ryan?
Great. I had a great relationship with Ryan. I think like I said, my fourth year was the kind of year that I had to really step into a leadership role. Before that, Diana Ross had been there, and Mariam had been there, and Gabby Baer. And then before that, like Frank was there. And so there were, I really didn't need to be in that role until that sort of wave of people had left. And then I think my fourth year is when that relationship with Ryan really took off, because we needed to have way more dialogue and things like that. So yeah, I had a really good relationship with him. He was, he's the favorite coach I've ever played for, and it's definitely a big reason that my passion for the game was reignited. He's a big reason why I decided to go try out for Team Canada. He's a big reason I thought I could actually play overseas. He really sort of, he really saw my potential, and he let me, he kind of, I don't know how to say it, but he sees you as better than you see you. He knows what you're capable of, even if you don't think you are. And he pushes you to that point, which kind of can make or break some people. And some people, it doesn't work out. And, it's not like he has most amazing relationship with any player ever. But for me, it was exactly what I needed, his style of coaching. And it was a huge reason why I was able to find success with basketball after that.
Were you you said your fourth year, that's your best year, right? Going into your fourth year, and losing Diana Ross and Miriam Silla, were you nervous going into your fourth year of how things were going to be, how the expectations, like Kenny, like people were saying, like if Miriam leaves, if they all leave, or is McGill going to be that good? Yeah, so. Yeah.
And we had a terrible season. It wasn't like my fourth year was like an amazing year and I was the best year of my career or anything like that. Like we had a really awful season and we had a lot of issues, trying to figure out our team and develop these new roles that everybody had. So yeah, it was scary going in, but I think like I knew my abilities and I knew the teammates that I had, and we had a good team. And like we knew that it was kind of a matter of figuring out our chemistry and figuring out our roles. And that was something that we constantly were kind of trying to do, and something that me and Ryan were trying to tag team different people and, okay, you talk to her, you say this, I'm going to try and get her to do this. And it was a big adjustment period, but it wasn't even that big. I mean, it took us, half a season. By playoffs, we obviously peaked. So we peaked at the right time for sure. But there was some growing pains there for sure for everyone, just learning how to lead and do this. I've always been a vocal player, but I think once those girls left that were very good at leading by example, I had to really, learn how to do that better. And everybody had to learn how to adjust. And we ultimately did, but it was definitely looking spooky at the beginning.
Yeah, one of your former teammates told me that you're the best player that she played with, and you were the best leader that she had. So I don't know if she wanted me to say her name, but she just told me that. So, but
what's her name? What's it? Who?
Huh?
Who?
Fred.
Fred Podvan. Shout out.
Yeah. And no go.
No, we went back and forth a few times in practice. There were definitely some growing pains there too, but I think we found our friendship off the court and we were able to bring it onto it. So it worked out for us for sure.
And before we talk about national, can you tell us what it meant to represent your country, like Canada?
Yeah, that was a huge honor. I mean, I had done it for a cadet team. I got kind of called right when one of the first years that Team Canada started doing under 16s. Mm-hmm. So I was a baby. I was very much not good at basketball, as we've kind of discussed at that age. And I got called to do a tournament, and I thought it was just the most amazing experience. And I couldn't believe it. And then, I went to boarding school and on to Virginia Tech, and I kind of never really, like, my ties with the national team were kind of gone. And I thought, well, that's never going to be an option for me anymore. Which was too bad, and then, like I said, I got, Ryan convinced me to go to an open tryout. He said, do it, even though he had convinced me 2 years prior, and I got cut. I didn't even get looked at. And then he said, you got to keep going. And so I went again after my fourth year, and I got picked to come to the senior camp. So the last 4 years, I've been able to do stuff over the summer with the different tournaments with the national team over the summer, which has been, it's amazing. It's such a high level, and playing with, the some of the best players in the world, really. It's quite an experience for sure.
Yeah. I want to know, can you just let people know how hard have you worked, I guess, in your university career, in practices or maybe off on your own time, to be the player that you are? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people just think going to practice is enough, to be.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say to a message?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've really been lucky with the coaches that I've had, because Ryan is someone that he doesn't give you a choice. Like, if you're going to commit to this team, we're doing weights, we're doing individuals, and we're practicing 5 times a week. And so he's making you put that work in, and then if you want to do extra sessions with him, he's always there. And I think that was what sort of differentiated me as I went on, is that I started going to him for the workouts. I was like, I want to do more. Let's do this. And so once you get to a point where you have that kind of relationship with your coach, and you're dedicated, and you're, the passion is there, I think that's the key to putting in that extra work and doing those extra things, because I don't think I really started doing that until those girls left, and I was like, all right, I got to be that guy this year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a choice anymore. I can't rely on her to score or whatever. So I think once it was it looked like that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and we got it done. But yeah, and then during the summers, like I said, I was lucky enough for the last 4 years to get a lot of my program and my training throughout the summer with the national team. So, those are some of the best and brightest minds in basketball putting together programs for you to do. So it's just about doing them, and sticking to it and things like that. So I've been really lucky in that sense, that I haven't really had to, I guess, come up with my own stuff. I've always had the resources sort of over the last 4 or 5 years to help me with that. But again, I mean, you can have all the resources in the world, and if you don't use them and apply them, it's not going to help you.
Don't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it is about knowing, having the right resources, but also, being willing to put the work in as well.
I have 2 questions. First, did you play for Ryan with Team Quebec or no? Did he coach you?
Yes, he did. I think under 18s. Okay, I played. I think he was. He definitely coached me for a summer. There for sure.
And my other question now, let's talk about your run at national. Like, people say that was a Kawhi Leonard run, the way you the way you kill. Like, everyone
double.
Yeah, like, people were saying, oh, those girls are the underdog, but I feel like you guys do. I guess you guys play and you play. Maybe in your head, you guys were not the underdog, and you guys were ready to, I guess, kill and win.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we got there, I think the only thing in my mind was Fred, honestly. I knew I was going to show up. I knew everybody, and I wasn't 100% sure if she was going to be like in it, in it with me, like fighting.
Why
not? Well, we had been up and down all season, and I think she had a little transition period too, where she didn't get to sit out a year. She came right back and started playing. So for her, she didn't get that time to adjust to the different style of play and the different role that she had and all these things, and so I think towards the end of the season, it was kind of like, okay, we're not sure, this and that. And then playoffs happened. And I remember before our first game at nationals, I I talked to Fred, and she was like, yo, I'm down. Like, I'm down. We're doing this. Like, we're doing this. And I remember shortly after that, I was sitting with Ryan on the way to our first game, and he were talking about, he's nervous, he's this, he's that. I was like, Coach, I talked to Fred, like, we're good. We're good. Because if that girl shows up, I know I'm here, and I know we have the rest of the team locked in. Like, that's what we needed. And she absolutely showed up. Everybody did. And I think everybody had, Marika had an incredible shooting tournament. Jen Silver, who was, the favorite 4 that I ever played with, just because she knew how to do all the little things, and complemented my game so well, in terms of reading. So yeah, we had everybody just kind of, and then we had such a good group coming off we were deep. And yeah, so I think going into it, because of the season we had, people were pretty doubtful. But like I said, I think we always had the pieces. It was just a matter of clicking. And once I kind of had that conversation with Fred, I was like, it's clicked. We're done. Everybody's in place, and let's go out there and do it.
You guys, in that tournament, you guys played. Do you guys play CBU, or no?
No.
No, huh? That's okay.
No.
So yeah, so fair. I want to know when you guys played because I know you won you won a red shirt and then you won provincials. So you guys went to nationals but lost,
yeah.
And then went to nationals again, lost the year after. So going to national for you was like a regular thing, So yeah. So did you at that point? I guess when they left, when you went to nationals, were you like, for sure you have to win this year? You're not, like what was your like? What were you thinking going to nationals that year? Knowing that you guys went the years before, but didn't win.
Yeah.
With a whole new team. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the year before was an especially, I mean, every time you go to nationals and lose, it's not fun. But I think the year before was really a year that we truly thought that was a gold medal team. And it was, it was a gold medal team. We had the season to prove it. We had the provincials to prove it. And the injuries just happened at all the wrong time. And I think, that being the last year for a lot of those girls, which were the leaders on the team, and they were really what made that team a family at the time, to kind of watch that happen. I know for me, I was one of the few that wasn't injured, but I wasn't able to, step into that role and do that at the time, at that like last minute, everyone going down, and okay, Alex, well, go do it. And I wasn't able to. And how difficult that was to see those girls, that being their last game, and them having to leave after that. I think that was when I had a conversation with myself, like, okay, if you go to nationals again, like there's no way that performance is going to, like, there's no way that's going to happen again. And so I think that following year, I really had a bone to pick with myself, just in terms of how I felt that I'd really let down a lot of people the year prior. So I knew that if I was going to be back there, there was no way I was going to have that same conversation with myself that you didn't leave it all on the floor,
Okay. And how was the final buzzer at national when you guys won? Like, how was the feeling? Because of me, I played 5 years and I didn't get a chance to win, so I don't know what's the feeling.
Yeah, it was very surreal. I think at the time it was just more shock, but yeah, I was exhausted for one. I think that game, I really, as soon as that buzzer went, I almost just wanted to fall on the floor because I couldn't breathe. But yeah, it was such a rewarding feeling for how many years McGill had been kind of really disrespected at the national level in terms of, oh, they'll get there because the conference isn't very good, and then they'll lose the first game, or they'll lose the second game or whatever. And so there was a lot of validation for my coaching staff who had, endured that, for all the people that came before and had to endure it and built that program to let us get there. So it was just a really rewarding feeling to stand there and kind of put the finger up to all the people that, especially that season, that said that McGill was done and McGill was this and McGill was that. So it was a really nice, it was really rewarding.
Yeah. What does it feel to be named top 100 women athlete of the century? Yeah, I got that right? Yeah. Yeah. How does that feel? Because I don't really know many top 100, of the century. That's a big, just a huge honor. Right? So how does it feel for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge honor to be recognized. I think there is a lot of talent across Canada for people that do stay. And I think often it's, overlooked just based on the fact that you're playing in Canada or not playing in the NCAA. But there are a lot of people that's not their dream, and they do stay, and they do, they're really talented. And, and over the 100 years, there's a lot of really good women that have come through different programs and represented their teams really well. So, to know that I was chosen out of all of these people and viewed in that way, and that was sort of the legacy that I left behind, was definitely a huge honor.
Yeah, I'm mad Sila's not on there, but that's another question. But
I was questioning it too, believe me.
But okay, during your time at McGill, what was the biggest rivalry and biggest matchup?
Well, I think as a team, it kind of switched as we went. I think at the beginning, it was probably more Concordia towards the beginning, when they had a really good team with Red and a lot of those other girls. My first couple years, so I think that was probably more of our matchup. And then my last 2 or 3 years, it really became Laval. They really grew into a really great program. And when Guillaume took over, he really elevated them. And so I think my last 2 years, it was definitely Laval as a team was kind of our, big rival. Individually, I think I've rivaled a lot of different players. There was
Jessica Lubin, no?
Yeah, of course, Jessica Lubin on UQAM, but the Marchesati on Bishops. She was also from Argentina. She plays on the Argentine national team, and she was another one that was a big matchup. And Jess for sure. So I think I definitely had my work cut out for me in on different teams throughout the years.
Okay. And so after McGill, your career at McGill. Oh, by the way, I want to know, how was it? Did you feel any pressure going to McGill, knowing that your parents both went there and played there? Did you feel any pressure with that?
No, I don't think so. I think it was more support on their end. Okay. And I don't think I was am I going to live up to this or that? Or that wasn't really there. I think I had already established my sort of basketball level of play by being in the States and doing that. And there wasn't really any pressure from their end.
So after your career at McGill, what made you decide to play pro? Well, obviously your resume speaks for itself why you would go play pro, but you yourself, why were you like, you know what, I'm gonna go play pro now? And Yeah.
Well, once I think after my fourth year was the first year that I made the team with the senior national team for Team Canada, and that's when I kind of realized, like, okay, if this is something that I want, playing for Team Canada and doing this, then I have to play pro. I mean, I had one more year of university left. And even then I actually graduated my fourth year, and I could have gone to play pro instead of going to do my fifth year because I was already done school.
Okay.
But I felt like I definitely owed that school another year of everything I had and that program for sure. So I felt like I had to go back, and once you win a championship, like, you got to go back.
Yeah, I could defend it.
Yeah, you got to defend it. But yeah, so I think it was definitely making that Team Canada team and, talking to Ryan and him being like, yo, this is really something you can do if you want to do it. And then going to that first camp and going to camp with girls that were playing all over the world and talking to them about it. That was kind of when I was like, all right, I'm going to do this for sure. This is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
And also my brother had gone the year before. He plays hockey overseas. So, he had that experience, so it wasn't really unfamiliar to my family either.
OK.
Yeah.
Dernière question sur ton expérience à McGill, universitaire. Can you tell, I guess, kids who think that, I don't want to stay in Quebec, I want to go outside of Quebec or play NCAA. Can you talk about some positive or probably staying in the Quebec League? Because the Quebec League is great, but like you said, you guys were disrespected at national and people think that, it's only 5 teams, like, why stay here? So can you talk about some positive of playing in the Quebec League?
Yeah, I mean, I think towards our last couple years, we had 3 teams in the top 10 that were ranked throughout the year in our little 5-person league. Yeah. So, I mean, and then you're saying, oh, well, look at this person's record. And it's like, well, yeah, but they have to play against 2 of the top 10 teams in the country, throughout the season. Mm-hmm. So I think in that sense, as it relates to a lot of the rest of the country, it's a lot more physical of a league. It's a lot more. It's a lot tougher, and I think that's how we generally found success at nationals, was playing people like we're playing in Quebec, and not like they play out west maybe. But yeah, I think as in terms of Quebec versus going to the NCAA, I mean, look, I think it's different for everybody, and if that's your dream and that's what you aspire to do, and that's what you want to experience, then I think you should. I think you should do what you want to do. But I think if you do aspire to play overseas or to continue your basketball career after university, it's not the only option. It's not like if you don't go to the NCAA and you stay in Quebec, then that's not going to be an option for you. It's really a matter of the work you put in, and if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, and going to, play for a, lower end, Division I program, just to be able to say that you were playing Division I, that's when you have to kind of weigh your options of, well, there are certainly players that are far beyond, they're going to go play for a top 5 school in the United States. And those players exist, and they're few and far between. Mm-hmm. And to them, I'd say, go ahead. Like, that's definitely what you need to do. But for, the large majority of people that kind of fall in between, I think it's sort of worth questioning why you want to leave. Is it just because of the hype behind, the NCAA and this and that, or is it because that's really the best option for you and your career, you know? So it's definitely a question worth asking that I don't think enough athletes do. I think they just kind of see the bright lights and they're like, this is what I'm going to do. Look at me go. And but it's definitely a question that more athletes should ask themselves.
So how is it right now playing? How was it right after McGill going to play in Spain for 2 seasons?
Germany.
Sorry. What am I saying? Spain. Yeah, sorry, Germany.
So that was it was another bit of a jump, but I think how much more time you have. You go from being a student athlete that's full-time school, full-time basketball to just basketball. So you have so much more time to take care of your body and do all these other things. So I think that was a nice change of pace, and I really enjoyed it for sure.
Okay, so are you going to continue playing in Germany, or are you coming up after this whole situation's dead? What are your future plans?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking to sign with a different team. I've played with the same team the last 2 seasons, but it's so much is uncertain right now with the situation that, I mean, everybody's hoping for a season to be happening everywhere come September. But so many athletes are in limbo right now with what's going to happen and what our plans are. So, if all goes well, I'll be back overseas, but we'll definitely just have to see.
Okay. And how do you stay active? And are you back in Montreal? And how do you stay active?
Yeah, I'm back in Montreal now. I'm back living at home with my brother's here too, who plays hockey, and so it's kind of nice. I have a workout buddy here because he's also training. We have we got as much gear as we could when this all started in terms of equipment, and so we do a mix of weight training and running and biking and different things like that. So it's definitely easy that I'm not by myself, and we have a hoop right next to us. So I'm definitely lucky in this situation that I have equipment and a partner.
That's good. Now I would love to play a quick game. Okay. So mine is bench, cut, and start. So start, bench, cut. Okay. I'm gonna give you 3 things. You got to start, bench, cut. Okay.
Start, bench, cut. Okay.
Yeah. So 1 is obviously winning nationals. 2, she's like, huh? 2 is playing with, like you said, Miriam Silla was a huge part of your, becoming a player that you were. Okay, so that's 2. And the 3rd one is playing for your country.
I knew you were going to say that too.
So you got to start 1, bench 1, and cut 1.
Well, I have to start playing for my country. I don't think I could put that anywhere else. Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna.
You cannot cut Sila. You cannot cut Sila.
National championship? National.
You know what?
Okay, that's okay. That's true.
Yeah, I have to bench nationals and cut man because I think Mam would want me to keep the nationals in there. I don't think she would want me to cut it.
We'll have her on this, see what she says about this.
No, but with my game, you're gonna be able to redeem yourself, okay?
Okay,
so you have to name the all-time top 5 player that you play with. So from PG to center.
Top 5.
So top five player that you play with. Like I said, you can redeem yourself, but anyways.
Yo, don't put her in if you don't want to.
It's tough. Y'all know, you guys are gonna have me. Oh, hello. You guys again. Man, you're gonna have my phone ringing tonight with people I don't put in here. I'm gonna put ma'am, 100%.
Okay.
Mariam Silla. So you want to pick someone for every position or just
Yeah,
five players?
not every position.
Top five. So PG, yeah, top five.
Damn. I'm gonna take ma'am. I'm gonna take D, Diana Ross for my point guard.
Shout out.
I'm taking Fred on my shooting guard.
Oh, shout out.
Now, I gotta take myself.
That's 4
for the big.
So who's the 3?
And now what I got? A 3.
Yeah. Jeez.
You know what?
Okay.
I think I'm gonna take.
No.
What? Yeah.
Go.
Who are you whispering?
Who you gonna take?
Me. What do y'all think?
No. Me. I was about to say.
Can you let her answer?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are you about to say?
No. Yeah. Okay. You said okay. It's my game. Okay. I'm gonna let you pick a 6-man. So that means you have two more players that you can pick.
Oh. Okay. Well, you're just gonna make it harder for me anyway.
Yeah.
It's harder. I thought it would be easier. Oh, okay.
Well, I gotta pick a 3-man. So
yeah.
I think honestly, the 3-man I'm gonna pick is Gabrielle Baya, because I think she is hands down probably the most competitive and like most heart I've ever played with in my whole career there. She was just elevated the competitiveness every single time. Maybe not, the most skilled or the most this or that, but her leadership and her, lead by example and her competitiveness was probably one of the most respected players that I've played with in that regard.
Okay.
And
so
coach?
I'd have to pick her as my 3.
And coach?
Like of the coaching staff?
No, all-time coach. Like
Ryan, hands down.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's pretty good. Nobody, anyone who's listening to this, please don't be mad. It was a tough game. So yeah. So thank you, Alex, for being here and and sharing with us your journey with basketball, because not a lot of people get to say what you just said, and the way you've basketball you started, I guess, playing really, focusing on basketball from late until what you're doing now, playing pro. You are paving the way for girls basketball in Quebec, which I think should be a little bit more recognized than it is. And I really appreciate you being here with us and sharing us your basketball journey.
Merci.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on and, giving me the platform and providing this platform, to women's basketball players. It's a great thing you guys are doing, and I have a lot of respect for you. So thank you.
Merci encore d'avoir accepté l'invitation. Je suis sûr qu'il y a beaucoup de personnes qui vont regarder l'interview puis qui vont être inspired from everything you said. So thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much. And to our listeners listening and watching, don't forget to subscribe on our platforms. Once again, I'm Seth Moa, a.k.a. SA.
I'm Kenny, a.k.a. KJL, a.k.a. Freaky.
Okay, cool. Stay tuned for another episode.